So, good morning. It's Saturday morning, 21st of March, and so most of you have gotten through your first week of our sort of new schedule that we're going to be doing. By now, you've probably seen that we're not coming back to school this semester, meaning this is going to be the process that we're going to take for the coming few weeks. Some of you had some trouble accessing the PowerPoints that I put together. My suggestion for that is they're large files. I'm trying to figure out a better way to do it. I'm not sure there is one where I can actually interact with the PowerPoint at the same time. This video I'm putting together now, I'm going to just speak very concisely about. Hold on here, for whatever reason this is all downloading and making noise. Going to be speaking sort of concisely about our managing the exercise PowerPoint that we have this week. For this entire week, that's all we're going to be covering. The materials that I put on E360, any assignments, everything is going to center around what I'm about to talk about just for about 5 minutes, and what the PowerPoint actually covers. So that's sort of the plan, and maybe something next week will end up going a different direction. But at this point, this is kind of what I'm thinking we're going to do. Just because so many of you seem to be having trouble. Actually, not so many of you, but several of you are having trouble. I would love some reports back if it's working, if the PowerPoint with my little picture in the bottom right corner is working and you like that model. Let me know. If we have enough people that have figured out how to make it work, then we'll go that direction again. So just the next few minutes, I want to talk about exercise design, the exercise design course, but specifically about managing the exercise. What's that exactly look like? And you're not going to see it in front of you necessarily, but I at least wanted to put it out there for you. As you work yourself through, as you read through the slides, I hope you get a sense of what we're trying to cover. The whole idea is that we're ready to carefully examine the final exercise activities from a few days before the exercise to the actual day of, where we're actually still looking at this stuff and seeing how it looks. It's a good time to reconnect with your exercise team. There may have been some sort of a gap between the last meeting. If that's the case, and you're going to want to touch base and talk with them and see how things are looking. Remind them to keep an eye on their emails, answer their phone calls, that sort of stuff, because as it gets closer and closer to the time of the exercise, things are going to get tight, right? You may have something that changes last minute. You have to get to them as quick as possible. A few days before, remind them of the agency of goals and objectives. You want to make sure that they understand what it is they're trying to accomplish. What you might have is somebody who wants to do something else or thinks that this exercise is actually something else, when in reality it's not. Reminding them of the objectives is beneficial. If they need to bring anything specific, now's the time to let them know. Let your people know. Hey, make sure you show up with these circ objective or evaluation forms, something like that. Concerning training, this is the time to take care of any last minute training that needs to be completed. If you're using somebody, you might want to have them practice speaking like somebody from Canada or something like that. This is the time to do some of that. You may need to do, like I said, with the sim team, talking to your evaluators, what you're looking for from them, your controllers, your message center people. What does that look like? When do those messages go out? How do they go out? So on and so forth. And then finally, player training. Just to let people know, here's sort of my expectations. If you're doing a functional exercise, you need to make sure they understand that nothing's going to be moving. While we're going to simulate moving resources, nothing is actually moving. The day before the training is a time to check over everything once more. Recheck the flow of the day. Make sure your times are moving in the right direction. Reconfirm all your logistics. If you have computers or screens, or you need to put paper on the walls, make sure all that stuff is taken care of. Ensure that everything's been printed and printed correctly. That's important. that can derail your exercise as fast as anything else. If you put your exercise plan together, you put all this together and you hand it out and it actually says something incorrect. It's possible to set up the room the day before. This is just takes one more thing off your list of requirements that you have to do day of. Validate your equipment list, prepare any identification, any signs that you need. You know, this is the sim cell, this is the player room. If you're using phones, they need to be installed. Oftentimes, people's EOCs are not EOCs all the time. They're EOCs whenever there's an emergency, but any other time it's just a break room or something like that. Make sure all that stuff is set up. Ensure that your phone numbers are mapped. If you have a communication plan, make sure that that's listed on there. What exactly, you know, if I'm trying to get a hold of the chief of police, what extension am I going to be dialing, or vice versa? Are they going to be dialing into the sim cell to reach the chief of police? Prepare a sign-in table. Remember, this is one of the things we're trying to track and make sure everyone has these trainings, these exercises. So you're going to want to have a sign-in table. Table tents, if you want to prepare those in advance to have people sit with who you want them to sit with. I oftentimes have, you know, law enforcement sit together, you know, medical sit together, fire sit together, just because they're similar in the conversations they're going to be having, especially in tabletops. It's important to sort of, that helps generate conversation as opposed to stifle it. You know, like I said, make sure you got enough charts and markers and tapes and stuff to put the paper up on the wall. Verify that all your audio-visual pieces are working. Make sure that they can be seen and heard. Don't just check it on your computer. Make sure you're checking it on your screen above that everyone's going to be peeking at. Ensure that you possess all office supplies, have a camera available, and if you're doing a mock press conference, maybe even a video camera set up. A few hours before, you're going to want to, well, first of all, you probably should arrive 1 to 2 hours before the first item on your agenda. That way you can get in, make sure everything's set, ready to go. You don't want to be running around, rushing, trying to get things taken care of. Give yourself enough time to be able to, you know, take a breath and relax a little bit before the chaos begins. Make sure there are multiple ways to be reached during the exercise. You know, I always have my cell phone with me, always. Turn it off, or at least turn the volume off. But if someone needs to get a hold of you, and it's a large enough exercise, make sure you let them know how they can do that. Make sure your laptop and phone is fully charged. Last thing you want to do is mid-exercise be trying to find a charging cord or something like that. Make sure the exercise team is checked in, and if they've not checked in, you know, you need to go to your plan B. All right? Thankfully, for the most part, I've never had to activate a plan B. But if you do, it is a stressful situation, right? Always expect the unexpected. If your evaluators or controllers don't show up, you know, you should have an idea of who you can go to fulfill that. You may have to put your sim team on double duty, right? You're calling, but you're also controlling. You also have to be doing some form of the evaluation. Not best case, but you know, you do what you have to do. You may have to delete some injects. You may, in addition to deleting them, you might have to combine some. And then remind the rest of the team that regardless of what's going on, if you have a sim team sitting in, the phones have to be answered. It's not something that you can just go, well, you know, they'll call back, because it could be me or one of my sim team trying to call in an inject. It could be a citizen who's calling in some need. So make sure you keep an eye on them. So that's going to be the end of our first section here. I'm going to put these in little 10-minute breaks, but that's section 1. We'll the next video we'll continue on with our discussion on the PowerPoint. Thank you.